to the League of Women Voters of Lackawanna County Candidates Forum, with the candidates running May 18th for the Scranton School Board Director positions. This is the second recorded segment out of a total of 5. And what we'll do is ask each candidate the question, and they will have 2 minutes to respond. And so for this question, we will have Tucker Hoddes be the first person to answer. And the question is, how effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
Hi, thanks for asking the question. I think we've got a lot of things that we have to examine in terms of getting the right level of education to our kids. We have to focus on STEM and getting our kids ready for the workforce and preparing for their future, whether they're going to be college-bound students, whether they're looking for skills-based education in the future, or if they're just going to be going directly in the workforce, be the best artist they can be the best individual they can be once they leave our school district. So what aren't we doing? I think one of the biggest problems that we have right now is obviously we don't have kids in classrooms, and we have our faculty and staff stretched very thin. And I know that that's one of the biggest focuses from the community, and one of the biggest concerns that I've heard from my discussions with parents, from what we've heard from faculty and staff. So I think that just listening to our teachers, listening to our parents, and the frustrations and concerns that we have about getting kids the right access to education is our problem. My evidence is based on listening to people, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do is listen to everybody. Now, some of the people that we need to listen to are also additional experts. We have the recovery plan in place, and there's a lot of stuff that we need to do in there to make sure that we keep things on track, so that we can continue to try to make the best decisions that we can for our district, because otherwise we're not going to have that choice. And I think that that's the number one thing, is making sure that we are still able to be a part of this decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you, Tucker. Next, Sean McAndrew will answer the question. How effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
I definitely think we have to have some improvement. We know, we're reading the Times, our test scores are low compared to other districts in our area. And we definitely need to improve it, whether that's, after school, groups or extra coaching by teachers. I know we have some resources that we have coaches now to help our students' grades. But what really concerns me is, this year, a lot of kids didn't show up to school. We had a lot of truancy letters go out, and the effects of the pandemic and going virtual really worries me as a board member. And what we have to do, the decisions and the plans we have to put in place to offset and battle this year have to be good. We have to come up with great plans to help our students, make up for this year educationally, but also with their, mental health. This has been a tough year. So we really have to come together as a board with our administration and our chief recovery officer to put a great plan in place to improve our test scores overall, but this year, more importantly, because so many students have suffered. And this year, I'm very nervous about how the effects of this year are going to carry on for the next few years. So it's very important, the decisions we make in the next few months of what we're going to do going into next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Next to answer the question is Greg Popel. And again, the question is, how effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
I would like to say that we had a progressive system in place right now, but I'm not going to be able to do that. Some of the decisions made by the current board baffle me. The closing and the elimination of the preschool program is something I'll never be able to understand. It saved nothing as far as finances are concerned. It's a federally funded program. Tracking of the students as they progress on through their educational period shows that kids who attended the preschool program consistently do better than the kids who didn't do better. I don't understand that. Another thing that school directors must do, school directors are charged with many responsibilities. One of the responsibilities is to fund operations. We are not funding operations because no one on the board, with the exception of Mr. McAndrew, has gone out of their way to support the fair funding effort that we started when we were on the board. Tom and I mentioned this before. It's critical that we get the money. I understand that there's a proposed budget increase from the governor's office of $33 million, but it's not here yet. It still has to go through the legislature. And until and unless the board of directors provide pressure on people to have this funding come across, we won't be able to do what we need to educate our children properly. We're losing teachers on a daily basis. They're going to other districts because we haven't had a contract in 5 years because there's no money for it. This is the situation that is most important in the Scranton School District. And until it's addressed, good things won't happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Tom Borthwick, the question goes to you. How effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
Certainly. So I actually believe that we have excellent teachers who provide an excellent education despite a lot of negative pressures that they face. However, as Greg mentioned, we've looked, especially in the past 2 years, at a situation where teachers are unsupported, supplies are not provided. We have eliminated a pre-K program, which I'm a teacher, I could tell you right off the bat, as Greg alluded to. Data shows that if you're in 3 or 4-year-old preschool, your educational outcomes for your entire career in a school increase. So we had things in place that we were proud of, and so we've watched basically the board majority sit on its hands and let it die. So this is a problem for me. I actually believe we do have a better future. Hey, I'm making a life here with my sons. I'm going to send them to Scranton schools. But when you have chronic underfunding, it's very hard to create a system that is positive. Now, in the past, we've had multiple blue ribbon schools. We had excellent music and arts programs. We had things that made this district attractive to other people that make them want to move their families here. But slowly but surely, we've cut those. And even when I was working on the recovery plan, I said, one thing that needs to be there, and they did not put it in, is they said, we need to give people a reason for hope in the future. We need to show how we're going to grow in the future. But instead, you can constantly see the best parts, the crown jewels of the district, be removed. I mean, even the recovery plan even said that pre-K would be kept and consolidated into a pre-K center. So they're not even following that. And so my son, Tom, would have been in 3-year-old preschool this year. And if my son is suffering, that means the community's kids are suffering. And I can't sit by and stand for that. So do I believe educational outcomes are good? They're not nearly what they can be, because we're dismantling the tools that we had in place to make them better. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I was going to Danielle Cheswick next, but I do not see her on my screen. So I will move to Katie Gilmartin. And the question is, how effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
Thank you, Jean. It is certainly no secret that our scores are not where we would like them to be, and we have to make sure that we are striving to improve that every year, every day. But we do see growth with our students. And I think the evidence is their success after their time in the Scranton School District. The colleges they're attending, the work they do at the Career Technology Center, which is certainly part of their education, but the certifications, the skills that these students acquire in these programs and the jobs they're able to attain afterward. I mean, the lifelong impacts of an education in the Scranton School District are certainly felt and seen throughout our community. I think it's very important to note that the focus, the mission of public education is kindergarten through 12 education. And so through this recovery process, some difficult decisions have had to have been made to reallocate resources to support those efforts. And someone mentioned earlier the coaches for our K through 8 students in math and reading, and our administrators and our educational experts have identified areas where we need support, where we need improvement. And we have to allocate those dollars to focus on those students. And certainly, as I mentioned before, those partnerships with other organizations. There are entities in this community that can help us provide that vital early education to our students, which will only strengthen our district in the long term. But they can focus on that while we can focus on kindergarten through 12 education.
Thank you. And I am going to go to Danielle Chesick to answer this question. So Danielle, how effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
So right now, I feel like the district is not effective whatsoever in providing a, I guess, academic, I don't know, just providing a good learning environment for the children. And I base that off of what has been done over the last several years. I mean, if we look at the past year, initially, you know, the Scranton School District, we were the last school to go back to in-person instruction, which we have learned that the classroom is the best learning environment for children. So I think, you know, we're gonna really see the effects of this year down the road. But some of the issues that I have actually start before this. And if we look at all the programs that have been cut over the years, there have been cuts made to music, art class, library, industrial arts, language. You know, it's awful. These children deserve a quality education. The pre-K program has been eliminated. My son was a product of that program, so I can attest you know, how successful the children are that actually have an early education system. It really prepares them for school, and even on a social level, it provides something that, you know, maybe some children won't get otherwise. So right now, I feel like the recovery plan is failing our students. And I understand, I do respect the recovery plan, but we need to do something that actually helps our children academically, and that is providing them with, you know, opportunities such as art, music class, and early education programs such as pre-K, getting our children back in the classroom and providing them with good quality teachers. Right now our teachers are leaving. So we need to look at the big picture here. And like I said, right now, I don't feel like our children are on the path to success. We need a lot of work, and I'm willing to put the hard work and dedication in to make sure our children deserve, you know, or they receive the best education that can be given in the Scranton School District. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. And now, Ty Holmes, the question to you: how effective do you believe the Scranton School District is in educating our children, and on what evidence is your assessment based?
Well, again, thank you for having me again. I do believe that our test scores don't reflect the incredibly hard work that our paraprofessionals and teachers are doing, and students. I do believe that first and foremost, the cutting of the pre-K, we're going to start to see the effects of that, and it's going to dramatically hurt students going forward. Also, closing of neighborhood schools, increasing class sizes. I believe that does not benefit our children. Coming out of a pandemic, first and foremost, the things that you should be looking at doing is giving these kids an opportunity to learn in the environments that they were in, not changing them. They've already been through something that was very traumatic, stressful. I'm also concerned about transparency and leadership. We have a tremendous amount of our teachers that are leaving the district. We're losing these talented, incredible individuals because they don't believe in the current leadership and the message that is being sent out. That affects the students. again, when I sat in a position equivalent to that of the superintendent, my job was to be simple, provide those that were educating students with all of the tools that they needed, and then get out of the way and just observe them from afar. I still believe that we just lowered the requirements for kids to graduate high school. We should be looking at putting more programs in, not taking things away, so that we put our kids on the same level playing field as those of their peers that are within the state. We currently right now are so underfunded that our children are starting off below their peers and having to fight. I understand we have the title of Scrappy Scranton, but that doesn't mean we have to continuously put our kids in a position where they're having to fight just to equal and level off to their peers. So I believe leaders need to do a better job providing all of the tools to the teachers and also communicating effectively with the parents and the teachers of what they're going to do in the direction they're moving in.
Thank you, Ty. And so thank you. You've just seen the second of 5 recorded segments where we're talking with the candidates for the Scranton School District. We hope that you will take the time to watch all 5 segments to learn all you can about these candidates. Reminding you also, you can register to vote until May 3rd, and the primary is on May 18th. Thank you.